Hi, this is Paul Logue, the planner for the City of Athens. Thank you for listening to me today. I wanted to give a brief update on some activities in the city's comprehensive plan. And right now I'm going to be talking about the Columbus Road corridor in Athens, Ohio. The purpose of this presentation, is to provide a look ahead at what recommendations our community can expect in the initial draft of the city's comprehensive plan. The plan focuses on a lot of issues and geographic areas, including our neighborhoods and corridors, and then we've got a lot of different topics that we'll be covering as well. And then, like I said, the scope of this presentation is to discuss the Columbus Road corridor, specifically as it pertains to economic activity in the area and any anticipated changes there, as well as improvements that the city can make. And the Columbus Road, if you're unfamiliar with it, it's a 2-mile road in Athens. It's one of the major corridors of the city, and we're looking at 5 different corridors as part of this planning process. We're looking at Columbus Road, East State Street, Stimson Avenue, Richland Avenue, and Union Street. And Columbus Road is a north-south road, and it is separated by a very long stretch of hill. There's 2 sections to it. What I consider the top of Columbus Road, which begins at the intersection with 2nd and Lancaster Street in Columbia, and then the bottom of Columbus Road, which gets closer down to the US 33 interchange. Columbus Road has unique geography to it, and is somewhat isolated from the rest of the city. It's isolated because it is pinned in by the Hocking River on its west, and then a hillside on its east. And then within that, there is it has additional regulations that are not common to the rest of the city, including our drinking water protection regulations. It's also, a lot of the real estate is in the floodplain. And it has a mix of commercial uses as well as two cultural and governmental locations. And it has very few natural users because it is remote. There's very little residential on Columbus Road. And because of the hillsides and slope and the river, it feels really remote. It's not easy to reach for a lot of people, especially if they're on a bike or walking. And then, like I said, we have this section of Columbus, or we have Columbus Road looked at. We're looking at it in 2 different locations, or 2 different sections. The first is the top of Columbus Road, which is at the top of the hill where Lancaster Street, 2nd Street, and Columbia intersect with it. And there's 2 main users there. The first is the Athens City Fire Department's Fire Station number 1. And then the second, at the bottom of this picture, is what used to be a previous church and will be the home for the Ohio Valley Children's Museum, which was previously located at the Market on East State Street. That is anticipated, I believe, for 2020, and I'll discuss that in a little bit more detail. And then the bottom of Columbus Road, it is typified by some commercial uses, motorcycle sales, auto sales, and then several different specialty retailers and contractors. It has a fairly recent new anchor, Devil's Kettle Brewing, has been a nice addition to Columbus Road. And then ACENET, the Appalachian Center for Economic Networks, which is a business incubator for food and other types of businesses, has been a long-time anchor for Columbus Road. And any changes that we're anticipating recommended into this plan include some streetscaping improvements, parking changes, looking at ways to better encourage professional services to be located on Columbus Road, development incentives for the 33 interchange area, and then improvements for that south end, that top section, as I mentioned earlier. And the first thing we're anticipating are some streetscaping improvements, improved signage for cyclists and pedestrians to try to better meet their needs as well as the needs of people who use public transit. Things like bike shelters would be a benefit for this area. And we have a recently built bike spur that connects to the Hocking-Adena bike path, and that serves many of the needs for people, and that could actually be used as a commuting opportunity for people who may work on Columbus Road. So we don't anticipate most cyclists needing to spend long on the road. A lot of people would be averse to Columbus Road because of pedaling up a hill anyway. but we think there's opportunities there for a bus stop and a park and go installation on a city-owned piece of real estate that was a previous brownfield that the city cleaned up several years ago. And we want to see improved crossing safety and a possibility of a shared use path. And this is the, if you look at this image here, on the left-hand side, you can see in that bottom red oval, that was a gas station that the city was deeded several years ago, and we cleaned that up. We removed the underground storage tanks and took care of any of the environmental issues there. We've planned for that to be a park and go site, and a conceptual image of that is on the right-hand side, and that could include some sort of a park, open space, restrooms, and parking spaces for people that would like to access the bike path. And you can see that the bike path spur is very close to that, a few hundred feet away. However, we would need to improve the experience of somebody walking or biking between those two locations so that they can better access each safely. And some parking changes we think could be beneficial to encouraging economic development on Columbus Road, including reducing or waiving parking requirements if parking agreements can be met between adjoining or nearby property owners where they can share parking at different times of day. This can work in most of our commercial corridors as well. There's very little or no risk of any overflow parking because of the remoteness of Columbus Road. And then by doing this, we can add to the density of businesses and give more varied hours for them as well. And we think this would improve the corridor, it would drive more traffic to it. And when you have some more traffic coming, that would help with economic development. And we also think we can create space for more development in Athens. And that space we've created, we think would be well served as being for professional services. We already have a lot of that on this corridor. And we can achieve that through some zoning regulations that would encourage more professional services, things like medical, legal, insurance, and startups, things that we can build off of, such as AceNet, in some of the locations and buildings that are already down there. We can look at some economic development partnerships, such as what's called a Joint Economic Development District, or a JED, which is an instrument that the state of Ohio provides to us. Where we could look at more development near the interchange with 33, and some of that could be near that interchange but outside of the city of Athens, where we could work with the township and the county to help provide services to them, such as sewer and water, and see economic development that would support the interchange, or supported by the interchange. And then that south end of Columbus Road, near the top of the hill, is currently, like I mentioned, the home for Athens Fire Station 1. There are studies that have been going on for several years, off and on, to consider relocating Fire Station 1 to a more central location to better serve emergency response times for the city as a whole. And that location specifically is very expensive for the city to maintain. It has, if you look at an image of the fire station, it is built on a downhill slope, and so there's a lot of money being built into reinforcing that structure to hold the weight of fire trucks. And so the city has spent a lot of money in the past in order to keep that going. And so there is a question as to whether we want to continue to use city resources for that purpose. And if we vacate that, what that future use might look like, whether that building would be torn down, we don't know. Some opportunities that exist, though, would be to better support the Discovery Museum that is anticipated coming in 2019 and 2020. And by doing so, if we were to use some of the city's green space in that area, we could support the Children's Museum by having some sort of an interactive learning park for children, outdoor areas for families to eat and to play while they're at the museum, and any other type of uses that may be identified through their planning process. And that's it for Columbus Road for right now. If you have any questions or comments about what we're talking about, or if you have something that you think I may have missed, by all means, feel free to reach out to me. Again, my name is Paul Logue. I'm the planner for the City of Athens, 740-592-3338. You're also welcome to email me at any time at plogue@ci.athens.oh.us. Thank you and have a great day.